Good morning, everyone. Let us start today's session. So this is lecture number 2 of the engineering mechanics. During the last lecture, we were discussing about the first year curriculum and your introduction to the engineering mechanics. So we will take the quick review of the last lecture. So we have seen the different subjects for the first year curriculum. So for semester 1, we have total 5 subjects. For semester 2, we have total 5 subjects. So 3 subjects, they are from the fundamental science, and one subject is from the mechanical engineering, and one subject is from the BEE, that is electrical and electronics engineering. For semester 2 again, we have 3 subjects from the fundamental science, one subject from the computer engineering, and one subject from the mechanical engineering. Then we have seen what is meaning of engineering mechanics, then what are the applications for the engineering mechanics. In today's session, we will discuss about the syllabus for the engineering mechanics. So engineering mechanics subject, it is divided into two parts. The first one is the static and second is the dynamics. Okay. So we will discuss what is meaning of static and dynamics. So here you can see the definition for the static. So it is the branch of engineering mechanics which deals with the effect of the forces on the bodies which are at the rest, where the velocity is zero. So in this example, we have to perform the force calculation or the force analysis on the cables supporting the electricity pole. So this is one example, that is a practical application. Then calculation of the forces in the truss member of the bridge or the mobile towers or the roof trusses. Then calculation of the friction, that is the friction forces. In the dynamic part, so dynamics, it is the branch of engineering mechanics which deals with the effect of the forces on the bodies which are in the motion. So the dynamics, it is the branch of engineering mechanics which deals with the effect of the forces on the bodies which are in the motion. So in the static, we will deal the force analysis when the object is stationary, that is the velocity is zero. And in the dynamic, we will perform the force analysis along with the motion analysis. Okay, so motion analysis means what? We have to find out the velocity of the particle or the object, then its acceleration, its displacement, then time duration it will take to cover some distance. Okay, so this all calculation, it is the motion analysis. So in the dynamic, we will perform motion analysis as well as the force analysis. So this is called as a dynamic. So here you can see the example. The first one is projectile motion. Then we will apply the equations of motion. So you are well familiar with the equation of motion. Then we will apply Newton's second law for the moving objects. And then we will calculate the energy and the power. Okay. So this all calculation, it is the part of dynamics. So we will see some examples for the statics and dynamics. Then we will get the idea what is exactly meaning of static and the dynamic. So here you can see the examples for the static where we can use the static. So static is nothing but it is just a force calculation when an object is stationary. That means the velocity of the object, it will be zero. So this is also called as a rest condition. So in the first example, here you can see one suspension bridge. So these are the suspension cables. Okay. So the force analysis or the calculation of forces in the cables of the suspension bridge, it is the part of static. Okay, because this bridge, it is at the rest condition, that means its velocity is zero. Okay, and this cable, they are subjected to tensile forces. So these tensile forces, These are developed in this cable because of the weight of this bridge. So this is a bridge, or we can say it is this concrete road. So this concrete road, it will apply some forces on the bridge, on the cable, and these cables will be subjected to the tensile forces. So this force calculation in the cable, it is the part of static. The second example, it is the force calculation on the concrete wall of the hydro dam. Okay. So this is also part of static because this concrete wall, it is at the rest condition where its velocity is 0. Okay. And we will perform the force analysis on this concrete wall. So it is the part of static. The next example here, the forces on the levers of the machine. So these are different forces, and this is the lever subjected to different forces. So we will try to find out the reactions at the support point. So this support will be subjected to some vertical reactions and the horizontal reactions because of the external forces. These are all external forces acting on this lever. Okay. So this part, it is again a part of static. The next example, this is for the bridge. So this bridge is supported with the help of these pillars or column. So these columns, they are subjected to compressive forces like this. So when we design the column, we have to find out how much load will be carried by these columns. Okay. So this force we can calculate with the help of static calculation. So these all examples, they are the part of engineering static. Now in the dynamic part, so when we project an object with some initial velocity, let us take 20 meters per second by making some angle theta with respect to horizontal. So take this as a 30 degree. So with this initial velocity and this initial angle of projection, that is a 30 degree, the object, suppose we are projecting a stone, okay, it will cover a horizontal distance. So this is the last point. So this is called as the landing point. So we can find out this distance by using the equations of motions. So everyone knows what are the equations of motions. So we have V is equal to U plus AT. Then S is equal to UT plus 1 half AT square. And V square is equal to U square plus 2AS. So we will use these equations to find out the maximum distance covered by the particle along the X direction. Also, we can find out the height attained above the ground level. So this is the maximum height. Okay. Also, we can find out the time taken by the particle from the starting point to the end point. Okay. And the final velocity, that is the velocity of landing. Okay. So all this calculation, it is the part of dynamics. So basic difference between static and dynamic is, in the static, it is a force analysis when the object is stationary. And in the dynamic, we will be calculating the motion parameters, that is a velocity, displacement, acceleration, time, and sometimes we will take the forces into consideration. Okay, so this all part, it is the dynamic. So I hope this difference is clear. What is meaning of static and dynamic? So now we will see the syllabus for the engineering mechanics. So for your syllabus, that is for course, there are total 6 modules. So these modules, they are divided into static part and the dynamic part. So 3 modules are from the static. So module 1, then module 2, module 3, This is from the static. From module 4 onwards, it is the part of dynamic. So module 4, module 5 and module 6, it is the dynamic part. So on an average, we can say the 50% syllabus, it is from the static, and 50% syllabus, it is from the dynamic. Okay. So the first module, as you can see on the screen, it depends on the force calculation, and it is from the static. So it is divided into 3 parts: section 1.1, section 1.2, and the 1.3. So section 1.1, it is the system of the coplanar forces. So we will discuss the classification of the forces. Okay. So in that classification, the one type, it is the coplanar forces, where the forces will be acting in a single plane. So we will study this system of coplanar forces. In that, we will study the principle of transmissibility, then composition and the resolution of forces. In the section 1.2, it is the resultant, that is the resultant calculation. So resultant means when the number of forces are acting on an object or a particle, then the net effect is called as a resultant. Okay. So in the resultant, we will solve problems on the resultant, how to find out the resultant. Okay. What are the methods to find out the resultants? And in section 1.3, it is the centroid. So you are familiar with this concept of centroid. Okay. So centroid or center of gravity. So center of gravity means what? For an object, whole weight will act from a point or concentrated at a point. Okay. So that point is called as a centroid or center of gravity. So center of gravity, this term, it is used for the three-dimensional object. And the centroid, this term is specifically used for the plane laminas or the plane area. So this is your module 1, which is from the static. Then in module 2, we will study the equilibrium. Okay. So section 2.1, it is the equilibrium of the system of coplanar forces. So we will deal with the equilibrium of the coplanar forces. So in that, we will study different conditions for the equilibrium of concurrent forces. Then we will study the parallel forces, non-concurrent, non-parallel forces, which are called as the general forces, then couples, and we will study the equilibrium of the rigid bodies. So in that, we will study the concept of the free body diagram. Okay. So this is the section 2.1, that is the equilibrium of coplanar forces. Then section 2.2, we will study the equilibrium of the beams. Okay. So there are different types of beams. So simple beams, then compound beams, then what are the types of supports for those beams, then corresponding reactions. Okay. So we will study this in module 2. So this is again a part of static. Then module 3, it is the friction. So when there is a motion or relative motion between the two surfaces in contact, then friction force will be developed, which will oppose the motion of one object. Okay. So in the friction, we will try to find out the friction forces. Then we will study the limiting conditions for the friction. Then what is static friction, then dynamic friction, coefficient of friction, angle of friction, laws of friction, then concept of cone friction. So these are all definitions. Then we will deal with some problems. So equilibrium of the bodies on the inclined plane. So we have to find out the limiting conditions for the friction. Then application of friction to the problems involving wedges and the ladders. Okay. So this is the part of friction, which is the module 3. Then from the fourth module, it is the part of dynamic, where we will deal with the motion analysis. So dynamic, this part is again divided into two parts. One is the kinematic and second is the kinetic. Okay. So module 4, it is the kinematics of the particle. So in the kinematics of particle, the first point is motion of particle with variable acceleration, then general curvilinear motion, tangential and normal component of motion, then motion curves, that is we have to plot some acceleration time, velocity time, displacement time curves, and application of kinematics to the projectile motion. Okay. So everywhere in the kinematic part, we will deal with the equations of motions. Okay. That is V is equal to U plus AT, S is equal to UT plus half AT square, and V square is equal to U square plus 2S. So by using these equations of motions, we will find out velocity, acceleration, time, and the displacement. So this is the part of kinematics of particle. The fifth module, it is the kinematics of the rigid body. Okay. So in the kinematics of particle, we will treat a given object as a single particle. Okay. We will not be interested in the size and the shape of the object. But in the kinematics of rigid body, we will be interested in the size of the object. Okay. And depending on the size, its motion parameters will change. That is, its velocity will change, its acceleration will change. Okay. So we will study this part, that is the kinematics of rigid body, in the module 5. And the last module, which is the kinetics of particle. So in the dynamic, we have two parts. One is kinematics and second is the kinetic. So kinematic, it deals only with the motion analysis. And we will not be considering the forces. Okay. But kinetic part, it study the motion along with the forces. So this is the difference between kinematic and the kinetic. Okay. So in the kinematic, we will be interested in initial velocity, final velocity, displacement, time. And in the kinetic part, along with the motion, we will be interested in the forces which will cause that motion. Okay. So in the kinetic part, we will use the Newton's second law. So Newton's second law is, when we apply the force, there will be acceleration. So mass into acceleration. Then we will use the work energy principle. Then impulse momentum equations. So here you can see in the module 6, in the kinematic part, we will be dealing with the D'Alembert's principle and the Newton's second law. Then section 6.2, it is the kinetics of particle, which is work energy principle. And section 6.3, it is the impulse and the momentum. Okay. So when we will start with the dynamic part, we will study all these modules in detail. Okay. So this is just an introduction of your syllabus. So this syllabus, it is for your theory part, and for your practical, that is a laboratory work, we have total 8 experiments. So your first experiment, sorry, experiment 1 to 5, they are from the static, and from 6 to 8 experiments are from the dynamics part. Okay. So your first experiment is, it is a verification of Polygon law for the coplanar forces. Second experiment is verification of principle of the moments. Then third experiment is determination of support reactions for simply supported beam. Then fourth experiment, it is the determination of coefficient of friction using inclined plane. So this is from the module 3. So it is dependent on the module 3, that is a friction. Then experiment 2 and 3, from experiment 1, 2 and 3. So this is on the coplanar forces. So this is on the module 1 and this is on the module 2. Experiment number 5, verification of equation of equilibrium for non-concurrent non-parallel forces. So this is again from the module 1. So this is a part of space forces. Then module 6, 7 and 8, it is from the dynamic. So experiment number 6, collision of elastic bodies, which is law of conservation of momentum. Then 7th experiment is kinematics of particle, where we will study the uniform motion of a particle, then projectile motion and motion under gravity. So this is part from kinematics. And experiment number 8, it is the kinetic or kinetics of particle. In that, we will study the special case of the collision of bodies. So this is the overall your laboratory structure. So total you have 8 experiments. So now we will see the prerequisite for the engineering mechanics. Okay. So in the prerequisite, so when we study the engineering mechanics, you must know some basic concepts from physics or mathematics. So first is the Newton's law of motion. Then second is the gravitation, that is law of gravitational attraction. Then basic units, that is unit for force, mass, velocity, acceleration, energy, power, momentum. Then concepts of the center of gravity. Then basic concept of force. Then principle of transmissibility and law of parallelogram. Okay, so this is the prerequisite for the engineering mechanics. So we will see this prerequisite or some basic concepts. So first concept, and which is the most important for the engineering mechanics, it is the force. So by the definition, the force is, it is an external agent which is capable of changing the state of rest or motion of a particular body. It has a magnitude and the direction. So basically force, it is a vector quantity. Okay. So in a simple language, we can say a force is a pull or the push effect on an object. So consider one example. We have one mass, that is object having mass m. Okay. It is kept on a horizontal surface like this. And suppose we apply some external force in the positive x direction. Okay. So as per Newton's second law, what is going to happen to the object of mass m? So when we apply the force, suppose the force F on the positive x direction, the object will change the state of rest and it will be accelerated on the positive x direction. Okay. So in the given case, F is not only force acting on the object. Okay. There are two more forces. The first is the weight in the downward direction. So this is equal to mg, mass into gravitational acceleration. Okay. And second force, it will be the reaction which is offered by the surface on this object. Okay. So this reaction is nothing but the normal reaction. So we generally write this as N. So mg, it is balanced by the normal reaction. So as the force is balanced by the normal reaction, okay, summation of the forces in the y direction will be 0. Okay. So as the force is 0 in the y direction, there will not be any motion in the y direction. Okay. So only motion possible, it is in the x direction. So suppose force is F, that is equal to 20 Newton. Then you can see the acceleration in the object. Okay. So force is an external agent which is capable of changing the state of rest or state of motion for a particular object. And it is a vector quantity. Okay. That means when we write the force value, along with the force magnitude, we have to mention its direction. So this is the direction, and F is equal to 20 Newton. This is the magnitude. Suppose force is acting in the y direction. Suppose this is the direction of the force. Let us take this force. It is equal to 50 Newton. Okay, and this is the F2 value, and this is the F1, which is equal to 20 Newton. So we can write F1, it is equal to 20 Newton, and we have to specify its direction as a positive x direction. For F2, we can write 50 Newton, and we can denote the arrow in the upward direction, which is the positive y direction. Okay. We have another force in the negative y direction. So suppose F3, it is equal to 80 Newton. Then we can write F3, which is 80 Newton, and it is along negative y direction. Okay. So generally forces on the right side are considered as a positive, and forces on the negative y direction or negative x direction, they are considered as a negative. Okay. So we will use positive sign and negative sign when we add the forces, okay, in the x direction or in the y direction. But when we represent the force as a vector, then we have to write the magnitude and we have to specify its direction by using the arrow. Okay. So is it clear to you how to represent the force? So the first law is a body at a state of rest remains in the state of rest, or if it is in motion, it will remain in the motion at a constant velocity unless and until it is acted upon by some external force. Okay, so this is Newton's first law. So in the picture you can see, initially the football, it is at rest. So at this condition, net forces acting on this object maybe in the x direction or in the y direction. Okay, it is 0. As the force is 0, that means object will remain in the state of rest. So here velocity of the object, it is 0. That is the rest condition. In the second case, we will apply the force by kicking the football. Okay, therefore it will get some velocity like this. Okay, and that football will continue its motion with the same velocity. Okay, so it will maintain the constant velocity if there is no resistance from the opposite side. Okay, but practically this will not happen. So when we kick the football, there will be air resistance and there will be gravity. Okay, so gravity, it will try to pull this object in the downward direction with the force mg. Okay, and air drag, so this is called as a fluid friction. Okay, so this air, it will apply some resisting force on the object, and gradually it will decrease the initial velocity of the football. Okay, and therefore after some time or covering some distance, okay, football will land on the ground. Okay, So suppose initial velocity, it is equal to 20 meter per second. So after some time, its velocity, it will become, let us take it is 5 meter per second. And after some time, it will become 0. Okay. So this happens because there is continuous air resistance and the gravity force. And if the gravity force and the air resistance both are 0, then it will maintain this velocity 20 meter per second for the infinite time. So this is the Newton's first law. So here an object will maintain its initial velocity for the infinite time. So here you can see the application. So satellite will keep moving in the space for the millions of years. So this is the infinite time with the constant initial speed, as there is a vacuum and no air resistance to the motion of the satellite. Okay. So once satellite is launched out of the Earth atmosphere, okay, and if it has some initial velocity, it will keep moving with that initial velocity for the millions of years. Okay. So this is the velocity. It will maintain this velocity throughout, because in the vacuum, there is no air resistance. So there is no opposition to the motion or to this velocity. Okay. So this is the Newton's first law. Then Newton's second law. By using Newton's second law, we will get the equation force is equal to mass into acceleration. So what is the Newton's second law? The rate of change of the momentum of a body is directly proportional to the applied force, and it will take place in the direction of the net force. So force is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum. So momentum, this quantity, is represented as a P, which is equal to mass into velocity. Okay. So what is change of momentum? It is the difference between final momentum and the initial momentum. So final momentum means what? It is mass into final velocity minus initial momentum is mass into initial velocity. So mv2 minus mv1. So this is the change of momentum. So here we can see the example. Suppose we apply some force F on the object having mass m. Okay. At time t is equal to t1, that is the initial time. And because of this force, at time t1, let us take this time as a 1 second. Object has velocity v1. After time t is equal to t2, suppose this time is 5 seconds. Object velocity, it will become v2 under the action of same force F. Okay. So change of momentum we can write final momentum minus initial momentum. So m into v2 minus m into v1. Here mass is the constant value. Mass will not change for the same object. Okay. Only change we can observe in its velocity. So because of force F, its velocity will increase from v1 to v2. Okay, so this is the actual motion. So how we can write the rate of change of momentum? So rate of change is nothing but the time differential. Okay, so change of momentum with respect to the change in time. So mv2 minus mv1 divided by t2 minus t1. Okay, so this mv2 minus mv1, it is nothing but the change in momentum. So we can represent this as a dp by dt. Okay, so this is the differential form. And as per the Newton's second law, the applied force is directly proportional to the change in momentum. So from this equation, we can take the mass constant. So in the bracket, we can have v2 minus v1 divided by t2 minus t1. So what is v2 minus v1 upon t2 minus t1? So it is a change in velocity with respect to time, and that is nothing but the acceleration. So finally, we get mass into acceleration is proportional to F. And from experiment, it is found that force is equal to the mass into acceleration. Okay. So proportionality constant in this equation. So basically this quantity is proportional to F, and this proportionality is converted into equality by introducing one constant value. So this constant for the Newton's second law, it is equal to 1. So this is found experimentally. And therefore we get the final equation for Newton's second law as F is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay. So what is the unit for the force? We take this unit as a Newton. Okay. But by using this formula, what is the unit of force? For mass unit is kg, for acceleration it is meter per second square. Okay. So basic unit is kg meter per second square. Okay. And 1 kg meter per second square, it is taken as a 1 Newton. So this is the simplified unit for the force, and everywhere we use as a Newton. So basically Newton means what? It is kg meter per second square. So how you can find out the constant k? So this is the experimental values. Suppose on the same object M, if we apply different values of force starting from 0. So initially we apply 0 force, there is no velocity. Okay, so there is no acceleration. Then gradually we increase the force, 10 Newton, 20 Newton, 30 Newton, 40 Newton, and 50 Newton. Okay, and everywhere we find out the acceleration. So this is your force value, and this is the acceleration value. Suppose force is 0, your acceleration will be 0. Suppose we increase the force 10 and you get some value of acceleration. Suppose it is A1. Then increase the force 20 Newton, you will get second value, that is A2, 30, A3. Okay. Similarly, if you go on increasing the values of forces, then corresponding acceleration, it will change. Okay. And then if you find out this product, mass of the object into corresponding acceleration, okay, then this value from the experiment, it is equal to the applied force. So first value you will get F is equal to 0. The first value will be 0 for the mass into acceleration. Then if you increase the value 10 Newton, again this product will be 10. This is 20. This will be 30. Okay. So if you plot the graph of force versus this mass into acceleration, force along x-axis and mass into acceleration along y-axis, okay, then this slope, which is basically dy by dx, okay, this slope value dy by dx, it will be 1. Okay, and therefore we write this proportionality as a 1, and therefore finally we get the equation F is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay, so I hope this calculation is clear to you. How do we get the force is equal to mass into acceleration? So this is the example where one object is given having the mass 20 kg. Okay, and the object, it is observed that its acceleration is 2 meter per second square. So it is under the motion with the acceleration 2 meter per second square. And suppose we want to find out the force value. So how much force will be acting on this object so that it will have the acceleration 2 meter per second square. Okay. So we can find out this by using simple formula F is equal to mass into acceleration. So mass is 20 kg and acceleration is given as 2 meter per second square. Okay. So we will have 40 Newton. So this is the value of force applied on that object. So second example, where one object having mass 50 kg, okay, it is kept on a table and we want to find out the weight force. So weight force, it is because of the acceleration due to gravity. Okay. So if you want to find out the weight force, we have to multiply the mass by the acceleration due to gravity. So mass is 50 kg for this object. So 50 into 9.81. So your answer will be 490.5 Newton. Okay. So this is also force is equal to mass into acceleration. So there can be one question. If there is acceleration for this object, okay, why it is not moving? For this object, we take the acceleration a is equal to 2 meter per second square, and we consider that that object is moving on the right side. But for this case, we use the same formula, F is equal to mass into acceleration. We take the value of acceleration is 9.81. Okay. But right now it is the stationary. So what is the reason? So anyone can answer? It is acting on one object having the weight or mass 20 kg. And this force will be acting continuously on that object throughout its motion. And as long as the force 40 Newton will act on the object, that object will have the acceleration. So this is called as accelerated motion. Now the second example, this is the motion with the constant velocity. So here the 40 Newton force, it is only acting at some initial time. Let us take t is equal to t1. Okay. And at the time t is equal to t1, suppose that particle or the object has velocity v is equal to 10 meter per second. Okay. So suppose this time t is equal to t1 is 1 second during the motion. And after 1 second, suddenly we remove the force. So force will become 0 after time t is equal to t1. Okay. But that object has velocity v is equal to 10 meter per second. So this object will maintain this velocity throughout its motion. So object will move with the constant velocity. Okay. So as long as there is no resistance from the opposite side, that is along the negative y direction. So this is the motion with the constant velocity. So I hope this difference is clear. What is the accelerated motion and what is meaning of motion with the constant velocity?